Hello and welcome to my channel, Lifestyle and Fashion Tea. Ladies and gentlemen, I apologize. I have been under the weather. I still am a little under the weather, but I am trying to get myself together. And I wanted to bring you this update on Luigi Mangione. They are seeking the death penalty. Let me know in the comments if you think that the death penalty should be given to him. Should he have life? What are your thoughts on Luigi Mangione receiving the death penalty? Let's take a listen.
Pam Bondi is directing prosecutors to seek the death penalty for the man accused of killing the United Healthcare CEO. In explaining her decision, the Attorney General calls the murder a premeditated, cold-blooded assassination that shocked America. Let's get right to senior investigative correspondent Aaron Gatursky on that. Aaron, the Attorney General says this isn't just about Thompson's murder, but also risk to others.
And that's because we've seen some other CEOs in Target's pictures posted all around New York City after Thompson's killing. And so clearly the Justice Department wants to send some kind of a message. And that's been consistent from one administration to the next. Remember, the crime was committed while Joe Biden was still president, and it was the Biden administration that pushed to have him charged in federal court in addition to the state charges that Mangione faces, and that was done in anticipation of just this, him facing the death penalty as a possible deterrent to putting other CEOs in danger like that.
The memo also talks about putting other people on the street that day at risk because this shooting happened right in front of a New York City hotel. But it also comes after this memo from the Attorney General about federal executions. Do you expect we're going to see more federal death penalty cases?
Certainly possible, and that I suppose would depend on the crime. There are specific crimes that have to be charged in order to reach that threshold. I'm not sure how many others were really in danger that day. The authorities have been confident that Mangione was targeting Brian Thompson and Thompson alone, and had he wanted to do something else, he certainly would have had the opportunity, given how long he was on the run before he was caught. But the administration, both prior and current, clearly wants to send a message that stalking a business leader because you disagree with business policy is not going to be acceptable in the United States. And that's where the death penalty comes in as a deterrent, the administration clearly hopes. Now, what's unusual here, though, Diane, is that Pam Bondi's announcement came before Mangione's actually been indicted on federal charges. He has pleaded not guilty to state murder charges. He's charged by complaint in federal court with murder and stalking, but he has not yet been indicted. So this certainly does signal where the case is going, and it may give his defense a little bit of a jump.
All right, Aaron.
Are expected to provide. In a recent filing in New York State Supreme Court, Mangione's defense team, Karen Agnifilo, Mark Agnifilo, and Jacob Kaplan, revealed that discovery includes more than 15,000 pages of documents, thousands of hours of video, and other critical material. They argue without a laptop, there simply aren't enough visiting hours for Mangione to properly review his case with them. The laptop, however, would come with strict limitations. It would be unable to connect to the internet, run video games, or other entertainment. Requests like this are not unheard of. In fact, similar accommodations have been made for other high-profile defendants in the federal facility where Mangione is being held, including music mogul Sean Combs, known as Diddy. After being denied bail for the third time, Combs was granted access to a laptop in December to prepare for his legal defense against sex trafficking charges. But in Mangione's case, prosecutors are fighting back. The district attorney's office is opposing the request, citing concerns over witness intimidation. They claim some witnesses in the case have already been threatened, though Mangione's lawyers insist he has no connection to those alleged threats and that the claims should not be taken seriously. With a high-stakes trial looming, the battle over this laptop request is just one of many legal fights still to come. Luigi Mangione has already made headlines for his high-profile legal battle, but last month it was his wardrobe that caused controversy in the courtroom. Mangione was granted special accommodations for what his legal team described as his fashion needs. Before a court appearance, he was allowed to change out of his jail-issued clothing, a privilege rarely extended to defendants. But prosecutors say he violated that special treatment when handwritten notes were concealed inside of a pair of socks he was permitted to wear. According to a recent filing, there were two personal heart-shaped notes, one addressed to an unknown person named Joan, and the other written to Mangione himself. That note in part read, quote, "Know there are thousands of people wishing you luck." Despite the notes being discovered, prosecutors say Mangione was still allowed to wear the socks he had chosen. But later, he changed out of them, allegedly because he felt they did not look good. Meanwhile, support for Mangione has not slowed. A defense fund already raised more than $760,000 and is now pushing to
back
reach
in with
million.
some breaking news this morning on Live Now from Fox as we are continuing to follow the case against Luigi Mangione, who is accused of murdering United Healthcare CEO Brian Thompson. Just getting a new statement in from Attorney General Pam Bondi, in which she is now asking for the death penalty against Mangione. Here is this full statement that I want to read to you on your screen right now. It says this: Luigi Mangione's murder of Brian Thompson, an innocent man and father of two children, was a premeditated, cold-blooded assassination that shocked America. After careful consideration, I have directed federal prosecutors to seek the death penalty in this case as we carry out President Trump's agenda to stop violent crime and make America safe again. This case coming out of New York City, of course, the charges spanning throughout several states, about 20 criminal charges in total against Mangione, and the latest there being the fact that Attorney General Bondi is seeking that death penalty. And Mangione, who is 26 years old, accused of murdering United Healthcare CEO Brian Thompson, that was back in December of 2024. He is facing a total of 20 criminal charges across New York, Pennsylvania, and in federal court. Those charges are divided into three separate cases. The New York one being the murder case, the federal charges that include terrorism, and a Pennsylvania case involving an unlicensed firearm, forgery, and false identification. One of the federal charges, which is murder with a firearm, could make him eligible for the death penalty if he is convicted. Mangione's federal case in New York has been scheduled for April 18th. So we just wanted to bring you that latest statement from the Attorney General. Now, as alleged, Luigi Mangione stalked and murdered Brian Thompson on December 4th of 2024. The murder was an act of political violence. This is in accordance with that press release in which we got that statement from the Attorney General. The press release goes on to say that Mangione's actions involved substantial planning and premeditation, and because the murder took place in public with bystanders nearby, may have posed grave risk of death to additional persons. Following federal murder charges handing down back on December 19th, the AG has directed acting U.S. Attorney Matthew Podolsky to seek the death penalty in this case. We'll continue to follow along and bring you all the latest updates as soon as we get them.
CEO killer Luigi Mangione now facing the possibility of the death penalty in the murder case against him. Good evening. We thank you for joining us tonight at 6. I'm Natalie Pasquarella. David Ushery is off tonight. Federal prosecutors are being directed to seek the death penalty for Mangione by the Trump administration. This makes this case the first death penalty case for Trump's second administration. News 4's Chris Glorioso live in our newsroom with the details. Chris.
Natalie, the decision to make this a capital case against Luigi Mangione marks an abrupt turn away from former President Biden's posture on the death penalty. He ended his presidency by sparing the lives of 37 of 40 inmates on federal death row. Mangione represents one of the first tests of the Trump DOJ pledge to revive the death penalty.
The last federal executions unfolded in the final 6 months of the first Trump term. That's when a flurry of 13 federal inmates were put to death. Fast forward to Trump's second term, and his Justice Department is now taking aim at accused killer Luigi Mangione. Attorney General Pam Bondi writing Tuesday, I have directed federal prosecutors to seek the death penalty in this case as we carry out President Trump's agenda to stop violent crime.
We are concerned.
Mangione's defense lawyer firing back at the death penalty decision in part by suggesting the DOJ was somehow defending big health care. By seeking to murder Luigi Mangione, the Justice Department has moved from the dysfunctional to the barbaric, she said. By doing this, they are defending the broken, immoral, and murderous healthcare industry that continues to terrorize the American people.
I believe he is innocent. He deserves a fair trial.
I support him completely.
Mangione, who has seen crowds of supporters show up to court hearings, denies he murdered United Healthcare CEO Brian Thompson. He's pleaded not guilty to New York State murder charges, despite troves of video investigators say shows the brazen assassination on 54th Street, followed by a circuitous escape from Manhattan. Mayor Adams, who has frequently spoken publicly on the case, was asked if he supports the DOJ's decision to seek the death penalty for the Ivy League grad.
You intentionally went in and you took someone's life. It was a horrific act, and whatever process they put in place, I respect that process.
But opponents of the death penalty say prosecutors and the courts have made too many mistakes on capital cases.
The question is not whether people deserve to die for the crimes they've committed. The question is whether we deserve to kill.
Mangione's state case here in New York is scheduled for trial before the capital case in federal court. If he is convicted here, he faces life in prison. New York has effectively banned the death penalty.
On the way out, don't forget to like, share, comment, and subscribe. It keeps me in the algorithm. And I would truly, truly like to know your thoughts on this case, because the thoughts are conflicted. As you can see, some people think of Mangione as some type of hero. I don't know. But again, I would like to hear your thoughts. I just believe thou shalt not kill, and he had no right in taking another person's life. But then again, let me know your thoughts. Like I said, thank you for watching and thank you for listening.